Hello, ladies and gentlemen. We are about to begin our panel discussion. Our panelists are ready, and we're just waiting for you to get so that we can get started. So kindly make your way to the conference area so that we may begin. Thank you.
I think we'll get started because we have a team that arrived very early, and I know we are all minding our time, so we should get started. And anybody who is still, shopping, moving around the hall, kindly come to the conference area. So I wish to start first by appreciating your time and making it to this panel discussion. I'm sure we can't have this conversation without an audience, and therefore having you here in the audience, I'm sure we're going to have an enriching conversation. So, but before I begin, I want to take this opportunity to thank Birknesh. Those of you who are here in the morning, she made a brilliant presentation. And the presentation she made gave us a snapshot into the status of the leather industry, not only in Kenya, not in East Africa, but a continental, snapshot of where we are as a sector. I also want to appreciate that she did that because some time back, I told myself that I'm never going to make that presentation again. For about 3 years, I've been making similar presentations. The challenge has been the story never changes. If you do that presentation once, you do it twice, by the time you're doing it the fifth time, you start sounding like what? They say, a broken record. Because the statistics remain the same, the story remains the same, and you therefore wonder, who are we talking to? Are we listening to ourselves? Are we committed to our cause of advancing the sector? What must we do differently? And therefore, I'm happy that she made that presentation because I said, we begin to sound like we are on pause. She laughed when I said this. You know, the way when you're working on screen on a computer and then it hangs? So we begin looking like we have hanged somewhere. We are not progressing, we are not moving. But I'm happy at least during the presentation, we were able to see new statistics. And the interesting statistic that I thought was different is that the market is growing. The fact that demand is going up. The fact that our population is growing. From her presentation, we get to learn that the per capita uptake of footwear is 0.8. Our population at continental level, 1.4 billion. Deficit of footwear, 930 something million. That is a huge market. A very big market. On the flip side, it is a fact that we are hosting a very huge livestock population. Kenya alone, our livestock population is more than our human population, over 60 million. In terms of raw material, we have it in plenty. The question here is, what is the problem? Where are we on pause? Where are we not advancing? She gave us a snapshot of what she thinks in terms of challenges and measures that her organization is trying to put in place so that we move forward. Are those challenges new? I don't think so. The fact that we are not making money because we are shipping out opportunities, just imagine cleaning a hide or skin and exporting it in semi-processed and then proudly importing it back 12 times or more of its value. Then you're so proud. As Skanda says, I'm wearing a Gucci. I'm wearing Italian. Yeah? we bring it back. So we ship out opportunities. We pay 12-fold to bring a finished product back. We know where the problem is. We know that if we value added, as entrepreneurs we'll earn more. As a country, we will be able to earn more. We know that. We know that we have raw material abundance. We know that we have the human population to uptake the job opportunities. Question is, where are we not doing it? A lot of reasons. But then, this afternoon, we say, among the things that can help us get out of the quagmire will be policies. What policies do we have in place? The market opportunity, as well elaborated through the presentation, is big. Local uptake of opportunity is low. We often talk about the supply of footwear against the demand, even in Kenya alone. Our annual demand for footwear is about 45 million pairs, out of which about 15 million are leather footwear. Of the 15 million leather footwear, we are only doing about 3.5, a deficit. When you go to the regional level, demand for footwear is about 128. That is East Africa, 128 million. Barely scratching on the surface, and now we are talking about Africa Continental Free Trade Area. We haven't. Our intra-EAC trade is still at 1.5%. So we are barely even scratching on the EAC market opportunity. Now we are talking big. We are looking at the continental population. What must we do? So the conversation we are going to have this moment during these next 45 minutes is on policy, and the question therefore is, how do we leverage government support and explore new markets to promote growth and competitiveness of the East Africa leather sector? And to help us take a deep dive are eminent stakeholders in this industry. You've heard from Madam Birknesh, representing Africa Leather and Leather Products Institute. They are doing a tremendous job to help us move forward. We have Madam Paulina Ogolla. She's not only an entrepreneur, but also championing leadership in the leather industry, because we believe if you walk alone, you won't go far. So trying to mobilize others and saying, hey, let's augment our energies, let's put our voices together, probably will be better heard. And then we have Charles. Charles has been in industry. I think you are one person who is able to see industry A to Z. This gentleman is beyond almost all policies that we've been able to fashion in Kenya. And therefore, they're going to help us take a deep dive to explore what policies do we have in place and how can we leverage on, therefore, those policies and government support to exploit existing and emerging opportunities in the leather sector. So before we get into the conversation, I want to allow them each 2 minutes to introduce themselves. I've just given a snapshot of who you are, but I know you can better introduce yourselves. So kindly just introduce yourself. We heard from Birknesh, but the rest of you, kindly give us your name, what you do, your organization, and just an opener statement. Yeah, so you can kindly start.
Good morning, everyone. Like I've heard, my name's Charles Dongo. I'm another person. I think this is my 42nd year in the industry. So I've been relatively grown up and grown old in the industry. So basically, I work for the Kenya Leather Development Council, a government agency, mandated to drive the leather sector development. Currently in the Ministry of Livestock, but we work together with the Ministry of Industry. We also work together with the trend so that we can be able to position our country as a manufacturing base and also as an export market. So basically that's what I do. Like Madam Beatrice have said, we are part of the policy development structure of the country. We regularly evaluate the leather industry to know what requires to be done, and we do what we can. I think briefly that's what I would want to say. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Charles. So we can have now Paulina introduce yourself briefly. Yeah, it's not put it on.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Paulina Mokotu. I am the creative director and founder of Clocomelo Designs. Clocomelo means taking care. We produce leather products in Utawala here in Kenya, Nairobi. As a social worker by profession, at the core of my operations lies a social impact. So we take the disadvantage from the areas around Utawala, and we train them. That is what we do.
Paulina, you've forgotten to mention your role
Oh,
yet.
I'm
There.
also the CEO of Leather Articles Entrepreneurs Association.
So thank you very much. Madam Birknesh, kindly also introduce yourself because I think there are a few more people who joined us who are not there when you are making presentation.
Thank you very much. Good morning. My name is Birkanesh Gumfa, working for Africa Laser and Laser Product Institute as investment and trade marketing expert. We work for Africa Laser Development in general and COMESA in particular. Our umbrella is COMESA. Thank you very much.
Okay, so thank you very much, Birknesh. So with that, I think we can already get started with the conversation. So how we're going to do it, we will have, questions thrown at the panelists where we will answer. I will invite all of us to have a conversation. So even if a question is directed to one of us, if you feel like you want to have a rejoinder, jump in and feel free to make your contribution. And then at the end of it, we will have the audience get to ask an opportunity to get to ask questions. So let me start with Bwana Charles. It is believed that for businesses to thrive, they need a very, enabling environment, a very robust ecosystem that promotes businesses to thrive. Policies are the center of creating that enabling environment. As you rightfully said, you've been in industry for about 40 years. You are almost behind, I think, 90% or more of the policies that have been enacted in this industry. You are among the founding members of Kenya Leather Development Council, if I'm not wrong. So meaning you actually been behind it. Now, my question here is, as you, give us, an overview of the policies that we have, my question here is it that the policies are ineffective? Are the policies need-driven? And if they are need-driven, how come we are not able to execute them, implement them? And if we have implemented them, is it that they're important? Over to you, Charles.
Thank you. I think when you look at the policy space in the leather industry, the most important thing is leather as an industry is part of the wider industrial policy framework. And we can only look at why and how we are performing in the leather industry when you look at the general environment. And one of the key things that we're asking ourselves, and this is a discussion that we have started and is actually, we are engaging the government and other agencies, is what do we require to do so that we can have a manufacturing environment? If you scan around, you realize the issue of trade has been very, very significant in this country. We are literally a trading nation. That's why it's possible for you to get a flight to go to China, come and sell. To change that, then you're asking ourselves, what do we need to do? Not only for the leather industry, but generally for the manufacturing sector in this country. So from there, I think we need to look at now rather specifically where we are in terms of policy development. I'll give you probably a bit of background of where we are coming from. Before 1992, the leather industry in this country was quite active, quite robust. We used to manufacture 80% of our shoes. We had a very good leather goods industry subsector. But with trade liberalization in 1992-94, things changed. So this is where the policy issue comes in. that in the transition to a free trade market, there were sectors that ought to have been protected. There were sectors that ought to have been given time to adjust to free trade. It was not done, so for the last 30 years, we have been trying to struggle to put that one right. So in terms of policy, I think one of the key things that we have been able to do was to move and convince government that for us to manufacture, we require equipment. We were able to zero rate the import duty for equipment. We were even able to zero rate the VAT, but somehow, because of, I think of our of our tax issues, the VAT has come back. So we were able to zero rate that you could import your machines for your factory at cost. But that's not, no, you know, I think of rate we have a few changes. We have also tried to look at the other production costs. For tanneries, we have been able to support the issue of zero rating chemicals so that we can become more efficient. But we are not yet there. So what we are looking at is, we look at the policies that we have had and their impact and what needs to be done. And one of the things we realize is, for the other sector to grow, we need a rather specific policy that addresses the key areas or the key components of the sector. And I can probably say that for the first time now, we have a policy that was approved by Cabinet in March. We will be rolling it out in August. That will be able to guide the sector for the next 50 years, highlighting key areas. That is one of them. For the last 10 years, we have had duty, export duty on raw hides and skins. 80%, $0.52, whichever is higher for anybody who wants to export raw materials. The question we're asking ourselves today, has it worked? Even with that policy, we have lost 8 tanneries. They have closed down. So the issue is, it was not export that was killing the industry. We need to go back and reevaluate. So at the policy level, that's what we are trying to look at. What has succeeded, what has failed and why it has failed, and what needs to be looked into. Under the new administration, I think that's one of the key things that we are trying to do. One of the key things is, we are driving to make sure that this country is able at least to make 15 million pairs of shoes for school children. We cannot allow to be still importing school children shoes. So that could be the driver towards manufacturing. But we want to go further, like you heard His Excellency the President say. He is proposing that he's going to ban the import of other products. So we have to go further and see what do we need to do so that we can be able to manufacture at least 25 million pairs of shoes every year. Currently, we are doing less than 8 million. So these are some of the things that we are looking at. Is it possible for us to do that? One of the key things, I think, one of the most successful government policies was the one for procurement of military footwear rockery. I think that has helped. A lot of factories have been able to invest for the equipment that are required to produce footwear for police and military. We want to build on that and see what that capacity can be done to drive the industry. Finally, what I would want to say is, as an industry, we have to establish, we have to identify the main product that is going to drive us. If you look at our countries, especially in the export market, every country has a driver product. I think that's what we are working on for the export market. What is it that we have? We have a comparative advantage that we intend to move and make it competitive advantage. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Bwana Charles. And I'm so happy with the fact that you're appreciating that when things don't work, you have to go back to the drawing board, and you're trying to relook into some of the policies that you enacted in the past to check on their efficacy And if they're not effective, of course, coming up with other policies. I want to agree with the fact that the presidential directive on procurement, local procurement of footwear, leather footwear, and other accessories for disciplined forces has impacted on industry. I will be coming back to you later to interrogate the role of SMEs in the supply of, of leather footwear and accessories to disciplined forces. So I want to just jump, Paulina, and go to Madame Birknesh. And this links to your earlier presentation where you gave us a number of challenges. First, of course, you gave us opportunities, and you pointed at a number of challenges, and some of them were also policy-related challenges. Some time back, I was with my Japanese friends, and they told me for you to be able to get to the bottom of a matter, for you to develop a deeper understanding of a subject, you ask yourself, why 5 times? And if you're able to ask yourself why 5 times and you answer, you give answers, the fifth one will be likely the reason why you are experiencing a certain challenge. Now, I bring it to you because as earlier discussed with you, most of those challenges are actually challenges that we can get from documents from as earlier as when I started actually going through strategic documents in 2013, I think, when we had the World Bank report and strategy for the leather industry. And even earlier on, you know, you're talking about, high cost of production, unstable policy environment, lack of commitment to execute. You know, those are some of, we've seen a repeat of these challenges over time. Now, you, from where you sit at ALPI, having interacted with a number of African countries, what do you think is the true problem? Because it looks like we all understand and agree that the listed challenges are the challenges. Why are we not addressing them, as we say? Why are we on pause? Why are we? Therefore, what is the true problem besides the listed problem?
Thank you very much. This is very difficult question because as we have mentioned, we do have a lot of problems when we come to especially policies. For example, if we say the value addition policies, we have to be very committed. It should be the top problem we have as policy formulator or as a policy implementer. For example, ALPI is a policy advisor so that every member state can benefit from the leisure sector development. We wanted to advise the government to focus on the value addition because so far we have exporting without value addition and we only get the small amount from our resource. We are the net importer of leather products and the net exporter of hides and skins. If we focus on this value addition implementation strategy, if we focus on that leather development strategy, we will get a solution as per my thinking. So we have to focus on the value addition policy implementation strategy as per my thinking. So focus on that strategy documents in your table and let us implement it. Let us unlock it so that we can get the solution along the leather value chain. This is my answer.
Thank you very much, my sister Birknesh. I know I just want to give a rejoinder. 2 key challenges, she says: lack of implementation and failure to value add. We have products, but negligible in comparison to the demand. So there is, those are the 2 key things. But before I get into another question that follows your response, let me allow Charles to give a rejoinder.
Okay, thank you, thank you. I think when we start talking about challenges in the leather sector, it becomes very interesting. Because one of the key things that we ask, I always ask myself, privately, not as a government official, do we have another sector in this country? I think that's that's a basic question. Do you have another sector? And when it comes to planning, and we are planning like we have another sector, when you don't have it, then we are planning from the wrong end. If you have another sector, then it's a baby industry that requires to be babysit, isn't it? When it comes now to planning at the higher level, I find people assuming because we have hides and skins, we have another industry, which is not practical. We are going to have hides and skins as long as we are eating meat. It does not matter what we do with the hides. What we want is the meat, isn't it? So unless we become more practical and say, we have another sector that requires to be nurtured to grow. We cannot, I think we cannot address or we cannot treat a baby like he's a youth. We have to be very clear about this. And this is where the private sector comes in. The private sector has to come out very clearly and say where they are. Without that, then we will always be doing the same thing. We say we have 3 million hides, we have 18 million skins, we have another 3, I think we have 1 million camel hides. What are we doing with that? So unless we are able to openly address some of those things, some of the companies that we thought are manufacturers, they are traders. And they influence policy. Virtually, they are more visible than SMEs. So what I'm saying is, the challenges are there. We cannot avoid them. But we have to start them from the grassroots. And the private sector, the few of you who are in the industry, you need to be heard. Thank you.
So thank you very much, Bwana Charles. Is it a case of a father asking a child to identify themselves? Because if you have been there from inception, 40 years of being in industry, you're more or less the father of industry. So you should be able to know at what age your child is. So the question is back to you. You being the father of this child, with that understanding of where the child is, what have you done therefore to uplift this child?
Thank you. I think that's a very, very pertinent question. I think we need to look into. The key thing is, from where I sit, to be very honest, we don't have another industry. So when you are planning, and this is something I've talked over with even the other people in government, it is time to plan for another industry so that it can grow. Why I'm saying this, we have had 22 tanneries at one point. Today, there are less than 10. And we are supposed to be developing. There was a time we had 34 shoe manufacturing companies in this country. Today, the main companies are less than 5, and all the other products are made by SMEs. So what I'm saying is, we need to start from that point, that we had an industry, we lost it. Can we start rebuilding? And this, now the focus is on SMEs. And I think that's where we need to go to. What are the challenges facing our SMEs? And when I talk about SMEs, I think that's another thing. That's why I'm saying the SMEs need to come to be heard. When you talk to government about SMEs, sometimes you don't need to differentiate between trading SMEs and manufacturing SMEs. We have to talk as manufacturing SMEs.
Thank you, Bwana Charles. And now let us hear from an SME. And I want to agree with you before I bring in Paulina. I want to totally agree with you that there comes a time when you have to refresh, so that then you propel yourself forward. And true, I think it's time that we looked at our strategies the other way around. In the past, we have focused on a few larger scale enterprises or industries. It is time now to think about the majority who are SMEs, who comprise of about 80% of the population we have in the leather industry. Probably things will be different. Now, Paulina. against the backdrop of the challenges, the policy environment that you had us talk about, the earlier conversation after Madam Birknesh's presentation, you heard what Skanda spoke about, that yes, we have good-looking products. In terms of creating good-looking, luggage, handbags, good enough. But then challenge comes in finishing, meaning quality, and this actually agrees or corroborates with what Birkenesh presented earlier in terms of quality. Are we able to churn out quality products? So you may have a creative mind, you come up with a good-looking item, but what about when you get an order? Are you able to churn out quality, meet expected standards? Then when Askanda spoke about the fact that yes, we have those bags, but they're highly priced to a point whereby when somebody compares our prices and other high-end brands, they feel like they'd rather get the high-end brand. Thirdly, if you went to Kamkunji earlier on in the morning, we were talking about Kamkunji, if you've ever been to Kamkunji area. Today, if you went there today, it is a sea of humanity. People buying products of different types. You know, you don't have to call them. By default, it's a place which is so packed. At one given time, I think there are over 300, thousand people, swamping the area, people, trading imported goods and selling them to locals. Now, we have a challenging business environment. I request you to elaborate on how challenging or not. We have, influx of imported goods, among them Mutumba, second-hand products. We have high cost of production, which is within the bracket of, challenging business environment. But somehow you've been able to thrive. You've been able to survive. You're still standing today. How have you been able to navigate this environment that we are talking about to the point that you are still standing?
Thank you very much for that question. You asked several questions about quality, and let me start with saying leather is a labor and financial intensive industry. And as we are starting as entrepreneurs, you start at the back of your house with maybe one machine, and now you start looking for the leather. You go to wherever, it can be Kariako, it can be to the tanneries. Okay, you go to the tanneries, you'll find that the leather that they offer at the tanneries, they tell you buy about 300 square foot. And you are going to make one bag. One bag, you make it with maybe 15 square foot or 10 square foot. So where are you going to get the money as an entrepreneur to come up with with 300 square foot? That is one challenge when it comes to leather. And the other thing is, you'll find maybe 3 to 4 customers want different colors of leather. So here you go to our tanneries, they ask you to come up with maybe 100 or 300 square foot on different colors. At which point are you going to reach there and satisfy the customer demands? That one is not possible. On the part of machinery, our machinery, we don't have enough machinery. And you'll find that some machines, some bags need specialized machines like cylinder bed, those ones for bags, and the other are flat. So sometimes as entrepreneurs, we start by buying machines without knowing which kind of machines we are supposed to buy. And here you have bought maybe a flat foot bed machine, and this, whatever bag that the customer needs is not exactly what is going to stick the bag. So right there, you are failing as a customer, as a entrepreneur. And there are other machines like Skyview machines. Are you able to operate the machine for you to get the quality that you want? Most of the time, you'll find that our products, they fail when it comes to the thickness. You go to the to the tannery, you buy the leather for bags, and you find that the thickness of the leather is not supposed to be that way. And there has been complaints that Kenya products are too heavy. I remember in 2018, our bags, I was under product development of export. Then it was Export Promotion Council. Now it is KIPROL. So our bags were taken to Birmingham for market testing. So the feedback that we got from there was that our bags are heavy, and also they are too expensive to be sold in bulk. So those are some of the challenges that we have. The other issue is the issue of quality. Quality when it comes to labor. We don't have good fundis, good tailors or artisans who make our products. Yes, they are there. You'll find that they have left big companies and joined the industry. And all of them are all producing. And we fail to get fundis in our, if you are starting a business and you are looking for a fund, you don't get. We are all producers. We don't have that thing of we come together and produce products together so that we satisfy the market. Each one of us want to satisfy our own market. So we are failing. Supposing now I get an order maybe in, I have presented my sample, a good sample, to the US. Maybe they want 100, first time they want 100 pieces. The second time they want 5,000 pieces. Will I satisfy that 5,000? No, I can't. What happens? I'll take part of this work and outsource, give other people in the industry to produce for me. Will the quality be the same? Do we have the same quality? No. And immediately from there, you fail to deliver what the customer wants. And you end up losing the customer, and you fail. And you find that the products are returned to Kenya. That is where we are.
So thank you very much. Before I let you go, kindly also tell us, how have you been able to remain standing despite all the challenges you've listed?
Wow. It has been a very difficult journey. For me, I have tried to do what? I sell my products mostly outside Kenya. So you'll find that even if in Kenya I'm not selling, I'm still able to sell. That is what has made me remain standing. That is actually, even I think it is God, I don't know. But I think that one of, you just have to be passionate about what you do, keep on looking for resources, and also joining the associations, because out of the associations, they are able we are able to help each other and know that there is an opportunity here, there is an opportunity there. Yes. Yes.
Yeah, thank you very much. So before I open up to you, to the audience for questions, so prepare your questions. I'd like Charles and Birknesh to help, shed a light on what you're doing to address some of the challenges that Paulina has spoken about. The aspect of material, of course, most of the enterprises, most of the MSMEs, I want to bring in the micro, are actually, they're running what we call in brackets kitchen industries. That's why she says you begin at your backyard. Garage, if you have one. If you don't have a garage, it's a spare room that you take and you begin your business there. And you get your one client who wants a bag, a purple one. You go to the tannery, they're asking you to buy 300 square feet for you to be able to just create one bag for one client. And you're not too sure whether you'll get another one who's looking for a purple bag. So the issue of materials, how can they, still be able to satisfy a market need within their small level practice? The issue of machines, the issue of even getting to understand what is the right leather for specific products. Actually, I've seen a number of SMEs whereby you go to a tannery, you're looking for a specific type of leather, you'll be shown a bundle, you just pick that bundle and go with it. And most of SMEs actually do not know that each product should be tailored with a specific material that is designed for that particular product. Leather for wallet, leather for footwear, leather for garments, not everything fitting, all. The issue of quality human resource to be powered into the industry, all those are challenges. Some of them you already alluded to, Madam Birkinesh, earlier. But I know Alpi and I also know KLDC have some interventions to help address some of those issues. Uh, Birkinesh, I'd like you to shed light on actually the thinking behind the regional design studios and the satellite design studios, because I felt they were designed to address some of these challenges. So kindly proceed and shed light on that.
Thank you very much, Beatrice. Regarding quality product for the consumers, we know there is a problem, not only from the product side, but along the laser value chain. It started from hides and skins provision. Our hides and skins are quality grade is deteriorating time to time. So we have to start our intervention from that side, from hides and skins. We have to start from that side. We have to equip our slaughterhouses. We have to equip our suppliers of hides and skins so that they can provide good quality of products. And also we have to think about green technology. Because now globally, it demands to provide green products rather than producing at home and without producing standard and certified products. No one can accept you. So as Alpi, our intervention areas are keeping standards so that they can get certifiable products for their competitiveness. This is one of our intervention areas. We give training with development partners interventions, standards implementation training, and also implementation of certification for our SMEs so far. As Madam Beatrice said also, we have regional design studio initiatives, satellite design studio initiatives in our member states. We are still trying to equip those satellite design studios so that they can reach for our SMEs to use for their design problems, for their machinery problems, design art machinery problems. So this is what we have tried to implement as Alpi. But we need, it should be sustainable. It should require commitment from the government side as well as from the private sector side, so that we can sustain our activities, our interventions, so that we can get results through time. So we have to plan short term, medium term, and long term to get those results, to keep quality and to supply quality products continentally and globally. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So over to you, Charles.
Thank you. I would want to start by saying one thing. If you're going to buy leather to make a bag, and you require 10 square feet, but you're forced to buy 25 square feet, our products will never be competitive. Because there are two ways about going about that. You either road at the cost of 25 square feet on that bag, or you close shop. There are not two ways about it. So what Madam is saying is about our products being expensive. It is not deliberate. It's purely because our supply line, our supply system that is supposed to back us has failed us. So we need to look at this a bit more, I don't know, a bit more in an innovative way, Because it's true. I've been to tanneries. I've sent some of you to tanneries to go and source leather. But the feedback is always, you have to buy minimum. The first thing we ask ourselves, why are these people telling you to buy minimum? They are supposed to come out and look for you, like normal businesses, isn't it? Why is it that it's SMEs who go there to plead to buy? That means these people have an alternative market that is draining our top quality material to other markets. And I think that's one of the things we need to address. The issue of export of wet blue is a major problem. We can hide behind it, but it's a major problem. Because the people who are supposed to give us that backup, that supply line, their first market is wet blue. So we are forced to do with what is there. The other thing is, even that consignment, you go to three, four tanneries and ask for an oil pull-up. Buy from 3 companies, and you tell me whether they are the same. So what is the definition of an oil pull-up? Is it the tanner who defines it? Is it the buyer who defines that? Or is it the process? So we need to work out this. And I don't say I have really an answer to that, because that's why I'm saying as SMEs, as manufacturers, we need to sit down and see how to work it out. From where I sit, from KRDC, I think one of the key things we are trying to address is the availability of production technology. I've just come back from carrying out a survey. The whole country. I think I was able to audit all the tanneries that are in this country. And one of the things that you realize, apart from probably 1 or 2 tanneries, all the others are using absolute processing technology. So one of the things is, because the technology is outdated, it is very expensive to make leather with that technology, so they are eroding their costs, their inefficiencies to SMEs. So I think that's one of the things that we are, as a government, we are engaging. How do we move away from that system of production technology? Is poor at the tannery level. I understand what Madam is saying. When you want to establish a factory, you start buying equipment without knowing exactly what they will do. I think as a KRDC, we are trying to address that. One of the key things we have done is we are trying to promote the use of common manufacturing facilities. For those SMEs that do not have the right equipment, and we might have them as a council, we are allowing people to use them at a small fee. And I won't tell you this has not been easy. For the last 3 years, we have been able to reduce our production costs, our service fee to SMEs by almost 90%. Because we want to reach the smallest SME and avail the technology. One of the key things that after doing that we have realized is issues of skills. In Karioko, I have 65 machines, but I have 108 people. The government can't allow me to recruit the balance. So what do? This is now the challenge we are trying to address. For those machines to be properly used, we need to bring the private sector. I will allow you to use my machine. I realize you're not insured. So if you have an accident there, who takes the responsibility? My boss tells me that the council cannot take that responsibility. So this is a discussion we are going to have, we are engaging. So the issue of establishment and operation of common use of facility, we have 2. We are trying to see how they work. I don't want to say the Karioko one is picking, although on the subsections. And we are looking forward to doing that. The TPSI one in Thika has always been there. It has incubated a good number of our businesses, and they have grown big. One of the key things that we have done, and this is very important for SMEs, is When we took over that facility, the cost of training was 10,000 per week. It was being managed by United Nations, so there was a lot of sponsorship. With a lot of struggle, last October, I was able to get approval to reduce the 10,000 shillings to 2,000 shillings per week. So we are opening up. We want SMEs to have skills, because that's the other aspect. Currently, we have also looked at what we train people on. And one of the things that I found a bit interesting is we want to train people on everything.
Summarize.
I'm finishing. So what we have done is we have reviewed our training curriculums. If you have an establishment and you want teachers, you come, we sit down, we are tailor-made a course for you, for your teachers. I've already done that for 2 companies. I'm getting a feedback. So that's the way to go. We have to provide you with skills. We have to provide you with technology as you acquire yours. The other issue is
Thank you. I want to allow the audience to ask questions. So thank you very much. I think you're already saying we know where the shoe pinches. You've done a study. You have established that leather is expensive because tanners are using obsolete technology. You know, they've come up with a CMF, but the CMF is fully equipped but does not have adequate human resource. So therefore, that's why they may not be adequately addressing your manpower challenges. TPSI is doing well, reduced the cost of training, and Madam Birknesh has told us very well what the interventions they have in place so that we can access, you know, high-level technology and also the capacity building they are doing in industry. You are the players. The question here is, what rejoinder do you have to the presentation? We've tried to take a deep dive into policy issues, into market opportunities, and how we're exploiting the opportunities through Madam Paulina, and basically the policies that are being laid out to enable us take advantage of the opportunities that we have across the region, across the continent, and globally. Kindly post your questions to the panelists. They'll be happy to respond to you. Thank you.
Hello, good afternoon. My name is Pioneer. I'm from Delight Fashion School, just right at the corner. My question is to the government. 2 questions actually. How is your relationship with the cattle farmers in the villages on the ground? How is your relationship with the people with the animals, the cattle? And number 2, what was the effect? How has the previous devastating drought affected the herds and the cattle farming in relation with imports and export and the whole industry? How did the drought affect us? And have you done anything? The cows were just dying off and we were losing everything. Were you aware of what is happening down in the villages? Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Felistas. My question is, you've talked, I think it's a time we talk about challenges to avoid being a broken record. My question is there any synergy between the regional design studios and what the government is doing in terms of, I think one of the biggest problems is like, I think we have everything, but it's all scattered all over the place. So how, is there any synergy to bring these unique machines that maybe it's only one, this leather that you can't get, like one person can buy all of it, but perhaps if we just knew everybody who wants blue or whatever, is there any synergy? And when you think about Kirdi, why are the rooms empty and the machines idle? So I would want to know, is there any synergy between the regional studios and the government facilities and resources available, even before we say what we don't have, because I think we have materials that are scattered.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Rosemary. I come from Spalada. And my question is this. It's almost impossible to get decent leather or excellent quality leather in this country. The only people who provide that is Alfarama. Now, do we have a plan as government to increase the capacity of maybe another 5 tanneries so that we have the same quality of leather that Farama provides, which gives the SME opportunity to be able to buy decent leather when and how they want it and at the quantity they need it at? Are we in capacity for other tanneries? Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Cynthia. I'm an industrial chemistry student, and I have a question for each of the panelists. So, to Mr. Charles, you mentioned about tanneries being closed down. From like 22 to now, we have like less than 10. So my question to the government is, why couldn't the government take up the leadership of the can the government take the leadership of the tanneries instead of allowing them to close down? That includes also the shoe manufacturing industries that went from like 34 to less than 5. So why not take the leadership instead of now importing? To Madam Paulina, you mentioned something crucial about having to keep your business afloat. So you have to get the customers from abroad. So I'm curious, were the clients white or Kenyans from abroad? The clients from abroad, because you mentioned like you had to sell to customers abroad to keep your business afloat.
Yes, yes.
So were the clients Kenyans also or white? With your answer from there, would you say that your business is actually promoting the leather industry to Kenyans, or like you are more profit oriented and you will sell to anyone who wants to buy your product? To Madam Bill Clash, you hold a very big position as CEO in a big region, and you mentioned about the lack of skills and everything. So don't you think that with your position, you need to introduce these industry to students in Kenya who are in the manufacturing industry? So that is providing internships and attachments for students who want to venture into textiles. Thank you.
My name is Douglas. My question is to Charles. Charles, we have become a lamentation nation. All the time we are lamenting and all that. Something is very funny. In Kenya, we make very nice policies, and then some countries take them and run with them and become more profitable. What is ailing us? That actually, after making the policies, we are not going anywhere. We seem to be remaining in the same position. So, is there anything that can be done?
Because there are very many. Just hold on to your questions. We will take another round of questions. I want us to answer last because your questions are very many. So let's begin with Madam Paulina. I think you have one question. Then we'll go to Madam Birknesh. You have 2 questions. And then the rest are Charles' questions. So Paulina.
Hello. Okay. About the customers, when we are marketing our products, you are marketing your product locally and also internationally. So who answers your request for customers is somebody outside the country, and that is the one who you are sending the product to. You are not the one who is determining where you are selling it. Yes, I've done my marketing locally. If the customers are not responding locally, an international customer will come and take a product, and I will not deny him. That is what I would say, your answer is. Yes. Because as I segment my customers, the same characters that are there inside Kenya, they are also internationally. So when a customer sees a product that is appealing to her, she will buy it, whether it is in Kenya or outside Kenya. Yes, thank you.
So you are not you're not purely export oriented. You're not denying Kenyans an opportunity. Only that clients outside Kenya are more vibrant and reaching out for your product more than Kenyans.
Yes, yes, I'm selling to everybody.
But the products are available.
The products are available even locally, yes, because we also have outlets that we are feeding our products and Kenyans can buy, but the purchase rate here is low than internationally.
Okay, so thank you, Paulina, for that. So, Madam Bruknesh, there's a question on, what synergies exist between RTS and the interventions that we have locally. Two of them were mentioned by Bwana Charles. And then there was also a question with regard to how you're engaging students in matters internship, because you're already doing a lot of capacity building in the region.
Thank you very much. Regarding synergy, when we think about a regional design studio or a satellite design studio, the main problem of our SMEs during product development, we identified that it's a design. That's why we are working on a regional design studio concept, and we are facilitating those satellite design studios on member state level, so that our SMEs can benefit from them. Maybe Madam Beatrice also is our CEO. When we first started the idea of regional design studio and satellite design studio, she may even give me, she may even support me regarding that one. So we are working hand in hand with the government of member states, including Kenya, KLDC, Kenya Laser Development Center. We do have satellite design studios there. The idea is there. So you can use, because we are working together to develop that satellite design studio. There is a management also to support you, and also if there is a problem and a gap, we can work together as a government and ALPI, because we are intergovernmental organization. Regarding skill development for laser sector, as I have said, we have triple helix platform. In that platform, we do have academia, government, and private sector. The academia are there to provide their skills to our skill level gap for in the laser development arena. So we have worked with them to get skills for our students, and also we have linkages in member states. We have different institutions, like for example, if I mention Ethiopia, we have laser development center, LIDI, in Ethiopia. We can also link you there to get different training, starting from 3 months up to a year. We have different level of training in that institution. ALPI is here to link also, not only direct give the training, but also to link to those institutions who give a skill development for laser players. If you want any information, or if you need any training, we can directly give you, we can link you to those institutions, and also KLDC is there to support you to get those kind of support, to be a help for laser sector development in general. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I do confirm that the Kenyan Satellite Studio is based at TPCSR. So there's that direct linkage. So of course, ALPI works in close collaboration with the governments across the region that she has mentioned, of COMESA member states, and even beyond. Actually, right now, you're also offering support to other African countries beyond the COMESA region. So thank you very much for that, Madam Berkinesh. Now, I want to get back to Bwana Charles. All the questions seem to point at you. First, beginning with the farm level intervention and the fact that we had drought and we lost livestock in their hundreds or in their millions. And did they just die with the hides and skins on them? Did we just watch, lose the raw materials? What did we do about it? It's for you to tell us what your specific role would have been. The second question, again, to you, but refers to another state agency, and that is CRIDI. And the question was, why is it that we're talking about capacity building, access to equipment, and government support, but CRIDI is empty? Why is it empty? There's a question on, is diversifying or expanding supply of leather. Why is it that we only have one person, one supplier in terms of a farm, that is able to attain a certain quality that is sought by manufacturers? Are we not creating a monopoly? And what is the risk of having just one supplier who can give us the kind of quality? What is government doing about that to enhance the supply of quality leather? You spoke about tanneries closing. What did you do as government? That's another question to you. It's one thing to beware, but it's another thing to have taken a step to intervene in the right direction. Yeah, that plus many that you may have captured.
Thank you. I think I will start with the last one from Dr. Onyancha, the issue of policies. Because to me, that is the most important thing that we have to address as a country. I think, like he says, we have a lot of policies, we have a lot of documentation, but rarely do we implement them. And I think this is one of the things that I would say in the current administration, we are trying to address the issue of implementation of policies. And the first one, we realized that even us in government, we work in silos. So one ministry is doing its own business. The other one is doing, if you look at leather from the farmer to the tannery, to SMEs, to the market. So we have realized a lot of people operate in their own silos. I think we have had to bring those silos down. We had a long week with the presidential advisory team on how to break out those silos, because we have realized sometimes even government doesn't know what the other government is doing, the same government. So in terms of policy, that's the first thing. The other thing about policies is we have developed policies, but we have not identified the key players. And when we have not brought up their commitment. So one of the key things that we are doing, and that's why we have not even rolled out our national policy, which we got approval by cabinet in March, is we want all players to commit on their role. To go through the policy and say, this is our role, this is a private sector role, we want a commitment. So as a government gives a commitment on what it does, we want a commitment from the other players on what they're going to do. I think if that is properly rolled out, we'll be able to be implementing our policies well and probably get the results we want. So that's the first initiative we have done. And most likely, when we are rolling out our new policy, I think some of you find ourselves in our boardrooms because we want that commitment. So policy issues are there. Sometimes some of them have huge financial implications. So sometimes the resources are not available. But we are trying to address that. So coming back to the first question about drought. The first thing about drought is a national disaster. So sometimes it is very difficult to do recovery. And honestly, if we were to do recovery of hides from animals suffering from drought, they will not add value to us. The quality will be so poor that even if we process, it will be very expensive to process them, and we will not be able to sell them. So what we are looking at is, if we had the market that would pull that production, I think that would address it. And that comes now to that question about tanneries closing. As a government, we are developing the first leather industrial park so that we can have at least 5 or 6 more tanneries operating. we have done that for this country to develop, we need to process almost 100 tons of hides every day. Currently, we're processing around that tons. That way, we'll be able to recover all the hides that are being produced. And that way, we're also going to create a manufacturing base for leather that you people have a selection. That if you go to Tannery A, you can't get what you want, you can go to Tannery B. This is a government initiative. We are hoping that we'll be able to operationalize the park very soon. We have had interest. I think we have an Ethiopian who has already committed to invest $4 million to have a new tannery. I think that will be able to bring some competition in the market. So that's one of the things. So about the cost of tanneries, how the government cannot come in. In this country, the private sector and government operate on two different levels. And honestly, government is not good in doing business. So there's no need of taking that tannery and you close it yourself. What we are looking at is what sort of incentives do we need to give the private sector so that they can play their role? Because the government and business will not work. So I think basically that's what we are looking at. For the tanneries that are likely to come into our leather park, the first thing is you will not get government incentive to manufacture wet blue. That's the first condition. That you have to finish your leather so that you can have enough leather for SMEs. I think basically that will be able to address the sourcing areas. You have alternatives of what you have to do. And lastly, we're also trying to work with standards. What is a Kenyan oil pull-up leather? We have to define it. And we cannot define this with collaboration with the private sector. Because that's a major problem that everybody is selling oil pull-up. Some of them, our fun experience is we try to put, to do a rusting, to rust a shoe on machines and the leather just cracked out. You bought that leather as good quality, it cannot even sustain machine pressure. So these are some of the things that we are looking at. And lastly, I just want to say is the issue of collaboration. We are working very well with LLPI. We have developed the design studio. We are now working on modalities on how to operationalize it. We have had even some trainings from them. I think some of you have benefited from those trainings. So we are working together. I think the synergies are there. Thank you. Unless I've forgotten anything, I think probably I've answered what was there. If anything, probably I've forgotten anything, I can come back to me. Thank you.
We're going to have another round, but what I would say is that you've answered well. The only thing, I think, Dr. Nyanja, if your question was, why are we not committed to implementing? And his response was, we are not committed and we are working on it. I wished to hear how are you working on it, so that you delve a little deeper.
Thank you. I think the approach we are changing to is from writing documents and then we go autopilot. I think that's the best thing I would say. We go autopilot even before we have begun. So what we are trying to do is, for every policy, especially in the leather sector, that has been developed, we have to identify which role and who plays that role. And then we have a conference with all the players, all their representatives, and they commit. I'll give you a practical example. I talked today earlier in the morning, I talked about the 80% duty on export of hides and skins. The government gave that as an incentive. The private sector did not commit to invest so that the excess raw material that will be produced because of the duty, they can use it. We want to go back there. So if you want us to have a policy, then you tell us what is your role. I think that way we are going to have a positive engagement. We are going to have a positive discussion. The other policy was developed in consultation with the private sector. It will also have to be implemented in consultation. If it's like where Onyancha comes from, the university, they have to come and say, this is what we need to do. This is the number of students we require to raise to the market so that we can have enough skills. This is the type of resources we require. And then when we go to Treasury to ask for resources, we will go together as a sector. I think that's the approach. That's what I'm saying. That is one of the things we have worked out with the new administration, that the sector will have to request for resources from the same point, all the prayers together. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So we can have another round.
Yes, my name is James Kihara. I'm from a marginalized group in the leather sector. I've been in the leather school field from 2015, did my undergraduate up to 2019, and then joined my master's in 2021 up to early this year. I've never had an encounter with the private sector of the government at the school. So when we talk about there are no scheme forced for the leather sector, we are talking from a perspective where are we telling the students after the 4 years or after the 2 years to come back to TPCSI? So what is the impact of the private sector in the government in what the school at Dedan Kimathi is doing in terms of the leather sector?
Good afternoon. My name is Jonathan Kandu. I come from Kiridi, a Kenya Industrial Research Development Organization. And I'm happy to hear that my sister is saying that there are some machines which our SMEs can use and they are just idle. The machines are not idle. At the moment, the machine at the moment is helping so many people, and we have plenty of machines. So I would request the SMEs to make use of the machine. Even Pauline is one of our students in Kiri. She can test for that. Okay, another thing I want to ask the government. Why do we have only tanneries around Nairobi? We have a place like Turkana there, where we have plenty of hides and skins, but we don't have tannery. So what is the government doing to support that? At least we have tannery in every county. Thank you very much.
Last one. Okay, we'll take those, then we wrap it up.
Okay, thank you very much for those two questions. Very interesting question. Number one, where manpower, human resource. Where is the disconnect? Where is the disconnect between industry? Here, industry is reporting that we don't have adequate or appropriately skilled human resource. Government through Charles is saying that is why we have TPCSI. And we now have a lot of capacity building interventions to enhance. So the question here is, do we have skills industry need mismatch? And what are we doing about it? Second question, you will answer that. I think that is a question that all of us can answer. All the three of you can answer. And then the second, why do we have tanneries conglomerating around Nairobi? And livestock is outside Nairobi. So that is a question that I think Charles can answer. So we first answer the tannery conglomeration one, then you'll answer also the skill one, and then from there we'll roll. All of us, let's contribute to the issue of skills industry need mismatch.
Okay, thank you. I think the issue of tanneries in Nairobi, I think this is one discussion that we have had actually literally even to the level of the ministers. There is a misconception. There are no hides in Turkana. There's only livestock. There are no hides in Turkana. There are no hides in Garissa. They have livestock. The hides are in Nairobi because the meat is eaten in Nairobi. You have to eat meat to get the hide. Eh? I'm saying this because I had a very wrong argument. Eh? No. Eh? I have the statistics. Yeah? Even the skins. No. I think I need to start because this is a very important discussion. I had it the whole of last week with the presidential advisors on the same. They were telling us we go and build a tannery in Turkana, the same place you have mentioned. 90% of all animals in Turkana are slaughtered in Dagoretti. So the hides are in Dagoretti. 90% of all skins in Marsabit, which has the highest population of animals, are slaughtered in Kiamaiko. Yeah, yes. They come as animals because it's where the market is. So there are only two ways. If you want a tannery in Marsabit, the first thing they have to do is they have to establish a commercial slaughterhouse and bring the meat. And then there will be the logistics. What is cheaper to transport, the animal or the meat? We have this engagement with the governors. If they agree it is cheaper to bring the meat to Nairobi, then they can slaughter those animals in. But you also remember, this is a private sector initiative, isn't it? It is a businessman who knows what is cheaper, to transport the whole hide to Dagoretti or slaughter the animal in Turkana and bring the meat. So why the tanneries are here is because this is where the skins are. You go back to history about manufacturing, you realize all towns that grew were along the railway line. Because that's where it was easier to transport. So these are purely business dynamics. And we can't change that. I think we agree on that, isn't it? We can change, but we require a lot of investment. I'll tell you one of the other things is, I had a discussion with in Garissa, asking them why they bring their animals. And they say, in the Muslim culture, they don't use matumbo. Do you see? They don't. So if you slaughter the animal in Garissa, you throw away the matumbo. If you slaughter the same animal in Dagoretti, you sell the matumbo. So the business, where is the value proposition? So these are things we need to discuss further. Thank you.
I would like to address the question of labor capacity building. In the last 3 months, I had students from one of the universities who were doing internship in my workshop. I would like to tell you that these students, we start them from the beginning. They don't know. You start them from pattern making, and pattern making is a very intensive process in the making of products. And you find that they don't know, even how to make a half, they don't know. So I don't know where is the disconnect in the whether it is the training that they are lacking at the university or the machinery or what. Because even the machinery, they can operate a basic working foot machine. So you realize that, yes, they are being trained. Whether the machines they have in schools are enough, we don't know. But they come to us the way they are. We start them from fresh. Actually, they were able to do products at on the last month. That is when they were able to start making products. I could be confident now, start make a wallet. Yes, now they know how to make a wallet. They know how to cut. They know how to assemble and also do the finishing. So that one, I believe it is something that has to be, the schools have to look at. Yes.
products specific to your enterprise for you to have a competitive edge? Do we have them? So it may sound a simple question, but it is a question we need to deeply interrogate and do an audit to ascertain whether we are really churning out the right human resource, labor, manpower, whatever we're calling it, to be able to power this particular industry. We still have you to answer, and I'll want Daktari to crown it at the end of it. Yeah.
Okay, I agree with you, Madam Idris. Like me, I'm one of the beneficiaries of UNIDO, United Nations Industrial Development Organization. I'm a leather technologist, but before I went to, I was a beneficiary of UNIDO, that is United Nations Industrial Development, and they had to take me to Italy for training so that I can understand about pattern making and what have you. So whatever Pauline she is saying is true, that the people who are from the university, most of them, they are more of theory than practicals. That is what I can say. Thank you very much.